FEA certainly is not opposed to testing when used to inform instruction and to improve teachers' skills. But in order for students and teachers to be successful, we have to find a balanced way between accountability with teaching and learning. We believe that there is too much testing, and how we do it and what we do is most important. And so we have to focus on teaching and learning instead of testing. We need to reduce the number of required tests, both at not just the state level, but also at the local level as well. And we need to decouple the high-stakes consequences from assessments and thoroughly review the use of data. There is only one sound reason for assessments, and that reason is to provide teachers and parents with useful data so that you can enhance teaching and student learning. I think there are other tests out there. Instead of the one that we've started down the road with, we're not sure is whether reliable or credible or valid. And I think there are a lot of standard norm reference tests that we could go back to in order to use that to measure. And then when you're looking at tying student performance and teacher evaluations, all of that needs to be looked at because they're all so interlinked. And when you look at the research tells us that 50% of a student's test scores for a teacher evaluation is just a bit too much, and that mostly research tells us 30%. And so when you hear what's happening in our schools, and when you listen to what our two teachers have to say, I hope that you'll agree that, number one, we are way over the top with testing, with end-of-course exams, high-stakes testing, and how that moves the agenda for kids. We should be in the business of always making sure that our students have the best curriculum and the best way to achieve.
I do have a question for you, and one of the challenges is that we do understand and are moving in a direction to act on the notion that there is excessive testing for our children, and the state plays a small portion of that role. But I'm curious, are you going to school board meetings and testifying there to ask local school districts to also look at their policies on testing, their schedules on testing, the content and quality of their testing materials? And because I think it is a partnership, and I really am curious if you and your organization are doing that as well.
Thank you. And the answer is yes. We are asking our locals to speak to their school boards to talk about that, because we have a certain number of federal mandated tests, we have a certain number of state mandated tests, and we have a certain number that the locals are putting on. The bottom line, it's the kid in the seat that's taking all those tests. And the bottom line, it's just too much. It's just over the top. So yes, ma'am, absolutely.